brought to an abrupt end today, even before the first vote was cast.
I'm not a billionaire. I can't fund my own campaign.
Senator Kamala Harris, who sought to be the first black female president of the United States, famously taking on Biden for his previous position on mandated busing to integrate schools.
There was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
But Harris started to plateau in the polls, often struggling to defend her record as a prosecutor.
When you had the power, why didn't you try to affect change then?
So there have been, I'm glad you asked me this question. I made a decision that if I was going to have the ability to reform the system, I would try to do it from the inside. Was I able to get enough done? Absolutely not.
Oh man, we are back with some more news, you hear me? We back with some more current events. This has to do with Kamala Harris and a young gentleman who claims, allegedly, I don't know how true it is, we gotta do some more research, but he's saying that he was a victim of her power. He was a victim of Kamala Harris when she was a prosecutor. She sent this man to prison. He claimed he was innocent. So let's see what he's talking about. Sit back and react with your boy. Don't forget, if you like reactions like this, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell. Let's not forget, her track record is pretty foul. You understand what I'm saying? All you gotta do is do your own research. Don't pay attention to what the media is telling you. Don't even listen to me all the way. Go ahead and do your own research. Don't take everything I'm saying for face fact. Go do on your own, just as I did. You are entitled to your own due diligence. Make sure you do it correctly, all right? Don't be one of those who go off emotions and don't get triggered by certain words. Remember, words are just words. They will hurt if you only let them, all right? Sit back and react. Let's see what this guy's talking about.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I looked back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. Ain't funny? Never in a million years I would have thought that they were going to charge me for sales murder. I never talked to no detective, no police officer, no DA, nobody.
Just arrested and then charged.
Arrested and charged, that's it.
Was the first time you saw Kamala Harris in person the day that the verdict was issued?
She showed up at the two most pivotal times in this first trial, and me being convicted and me being sentenced. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
Don't forget, she was prosecuting parents for truancy. If you have no clue what that means, let me explain it to you. Basically, you can have a child that's just getting influence from an outside source. It has nothing to do with you. You could be raising them 100% correctly, do everything you want to do to make sure they go the straight path. However, when kids get a certain age, they start doing their own thing regardless of what. So it takes a village to kind of help that situation out. You know what she decided to do? She decided to jail parents instead of helping the children out. Now, you tell me, is that good for the community? And who is she really targeting? Unfortunately, it's a sad thing, but facts are facts.
Well, I'm going to read you a quote real quick. The job of a progressive prosecutor is to look out for those overlooked, to speak up for those whose voices aren't being heard, to see and address the causes of crime, not just their consequences.
You hear that? She wanted to be in attendance for a celebration for the conviction. Outrageous, man. I mean, it's one thing to love your job, but come on, let's be serious. In this sense, you should love what you're doing because you're making a change, not because you're sending someone away in a chain. You understand? That's kind of reckless.
That's what it felt like, a celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like. The reactions I get when I tell people my story is, they say it's the worst nightmare. You know, it's the closest thing to dying.
And to shine a light on the inequality and unfairness that lead to injustice. It is to recognize that not everyone needs punishment, that what many need, quite obviously, is help.
Of course, now she knows what to say. being that she was part of the problem. For some odd reason, now she got the fix. Of course she gonna have the fix, man. If she was part of the issue, she knows what she gotta fix because she did the damage, you understand?
Kamala Harris wrote that in her book, The Truth We Hold. Does that sound consistent with the kind of with the brand of justice that you saw administered by offices that she was running?
It definitely sounds like Kamala Harris right now as a senator. But at the time of her being the head district attorney of San Francisco, that is almost polar opposite of what I felt and what our community felt in San Francisco.
And the people from San Francisco are not feeling her, you understand? Basically, all she really did was create an issue, a problem, and now you guys are running back into the same person who started the issue in order for her to fix your issue. You see, making sense out of it right now, right? Doesn't really add up, correct? She knows exactly what to target and fix because she was part of the problem that created it. You understand what I mean? So you're just running right into the same situation. That's all you're doing. And for her to laugh it off all the time is insane for the amount of people with no accountability that she sent to prison wrongfully. Not a good look, man. Not a good look.
So Jamal, where are we?
Right now we are in Sunnydale Projects, where I was born and raised at. Now, this isn't a place that you'll want to bring outsiders into, and a place that they don't want to go. This ain't a place that feels comfortable. It feels like you might get robbed, you might get shot.
The police were keeping files on you, and your brothers, and other people who were living in Sunnydale from a very young age.
Nah, to keep a profile on a kid, expecting them to be part of a gang is weird if you ask me right there. At least give them an opportunity so they don't go that way. So you mean to tell me they're just sitting there watching, hoping? Because if you're not helping, then you're hoping. That's how I see it. If you see it the same way, let me know in the comments. If I'm bugging out, let me know. Maybe I'm reaching, let me know.
They already had me labeled because I'm in this community as a potential gang member, potential killer, potential drug dealer. You gotta wake up to the fact that, you know, things are set up against us.
There is a conspiracy.
Yes.
It happened to you.
Exactly.
It's proven in court.
Absolutely. Places like this have been developed for predominantly African American people to not be able to succeed beyond it.
Yeah. What did you know about Kamala Harris? What did you know about San Francisco having a black DA?
Nobody in the hood ever worried or focused on the DA position in general, but people did focus on it just a tad bit, that it was black, and feeling like, okay, this black lady in office, Kamala Harris, she was gonna understand where we come from. You know?
Most people from the hood, they're oblivious when it comes to the three branches of government. So with that being said, they really don't know that, you know, every state, or should I say every county, you know, they have their head DA. You understand what I'm saying? Their chief judge. You understand what I'm saying? They're not aware of how these things go, so they don't know. All they know is they going to court and they're like, oh man, I'm going to jail. They sending me to jail forever. But that's not how it works. You understand? If they knew, they may have been able to vote her out as a community. But like I said, people in the hood don't know that. Every time your local government, you can actually vote judges out. You know, if you stick together, you can actually do it.
You know, and have more of a sympathetic way of prosecuting people that come from our communities who have been plagued with no opportunities.
You know what's funny? Because if they would know her background like all the way, they would know she was not for the black man. And listen, this is not me being racist. I love all people, all human. You understand what I'm saying? All humankind, I got love for you. You understand? I don't segregate people. I'm not into that right there. But one thing I will address is this, right? Her husband is Jewish. There's not a crime in that. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Then she also adopted 2 children who were also Jewish. That right there shows me she is not for the black people, unfortunately. You just gotta accept reality and deal with the facts right there, right? Or you can go ahead and sugarcoat things and pander like the rest of the people are doing. It's on you. The choice is yours.
This is Hunter's Point, where these different projects and communities used to really war with each other.
Jamal, in July 2007, what's going on in your life at that point?
I had recently just came off of I Love New York, and also that's when my friend Sel Kuka got killed.
More than a year goes by and no one's been arrested in the case. You hadn't even been questioned.
Haven't even been questioned, no. The police was still, trying to get a conviction.
You motherfucker be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you.
By all means necessary. When I was arrested for it, the community knew I didn't do it. And it was here we go again. See, this is why we don't trust, law enforcement, because it gets to a point where somebody who didn't do something goes to jail for it. I don't have no history of crime. What's up, boy? I have a history of being around in the community, but that doesn't mean that I'm a suspect.
You're the one who's guilty. I mean, come on, let's kick the ballistics here. Ain't no Uzis made in Harlem. I mean, not one of us in here owns a poppy field. This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is big business.
I'm like, oh man, I'll be out within 72 hours. They're gonna figure this out. They're gonna clear this up.
And then when you found out what the evidence was that they supposedly had you on, there wasn't much there. Can you describe what it was?
They had a woman saying that she seen me kill Sel. The second witness that they had really wasn't a witness at all. She said anything that the police officers wanted her to say, and they said that her recollection of the events was extremely credible.
No.
So that's what ultimately got the arrest warrant.
The District Attorney of San Francisco, Kamala Harris, appeared in the courtroom during your trial twice.
Yeah, the two times that Kamala Harris showed up to my trial was when I got convicted, and also when they laid down the sentencing.
When you saw her on the day that the verdict was handed down, did you take that as a bad sign?
It felt to me that she was well aware about my case, and she was there to set her presence, almost take pride in getting a conviction.
If you ask me, she already knew that the black community was an easy setup for her come up right there. She knew locking them up, she was gonna really gain a name, and look where it landed her today. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's right, but it worked. Whatever she did, it worked. Look where she's at today. Nothing ever backfired on her. She knew exactly what she was doing, how to do it, and how to get away with everything. Of course, she ain't do this all by her own. You know she has some help.
When I put in my appeal, the people that's fighting against my appeal to keep the conviction is the Attorney General office. I learned it reading, their reply to my appeal, and you see Kamala Harris' name at the bottom. And now it's starting to feel a little personal.
When you win the $13.1 million, it's a massive settlement. Did you feel like that was enough?
There's not an amount that could get back those 7 years.
And that is a fact. There's no money in the world that can give you back time. Once time is lost, that time is gone. You understand? And he got a point when it comes to that right there. Listen, he was into acting. Who knows where his career could have took him all those years he was in prison. Don't forget that right there. He could have made more than 13 million. Some actors are making that in a year. So you understand what I mean? Hey, listen, never give up that fight, especially when you write.
That was 6.5 years that I spent in prison. But instead of me coming home feeling like I was a victim, I wanted to prove that I'm a survivor, and I will not let my story go unheard. I'm not necessarily saying I'm looking for an apology, but some acknowledgement from her that she could have messed up would be, of course, that'd be huge. You could have made some mistakes. You could have missed some things. For me, it was a big miss. I had life in prison.
The concerns I laid out had to do with her embrace of policies that in some ways were regressive. So, for example, when she was Attorney General, and this was my biggest concern, her office fought tooth and nail to uphold wrongful convictions that in some cases kept innocent people in prison.
And as San Francisco DA, Harris hid known misconduct by a crime lab technician who admitted to deliberately tainting evidence.
Did prosecutors working under you know about the concerns about that lab?
The prosecutors
which
in
is
my
what the judge
office
alleged.
Did not know about it, at least said they did not know about it.
The debacle has since led to the dismissal of hundreds of criminal cases.
Something else it's past time we get done is dismantling the failed war on drugs, starting with legalizing marijuana.
Your opponent, Ron Gold, has said that he is for the legalization of marijuana recreationally. Your thoughts on that?
That he is entitled to his opinion.
Harris is a former drug warrior who is now refashioning herself as pro-legalization. That's a positive shift, but not a reason to rewrite the past or ignore the patterns it reveals in her judgment. 4 years after the cultural tide had turned in favor of criminal justice reforms, Harris continued to support lock-em-up policies that disproportionately hurt minorities. As California Attorney General, Harris opposed marijuana legalization as late as 2014, promoted civil asset forfeiture without a conviction as a way to fight drug rings, and sought to more aggressively police prescription drug use. In her 2019 book, The Truths We Hold, An American Journey, Harris reveals that her drug warrior mentality hasn't changed.
We also need to reinstate the DEA's authority to go after the major pharmaceutical manufacturers and distributors, and we need to invest resources in law enforcement efforts to cut off the supply of fentanyl from China.
Let's believe in a more perfect union without mass incarceration of African American men.
We put more people in prison than any country on earth for no good reason.
Yes, we do. And once these people were in prison, Harris saw to it that they'd have a hell of a time getting out.
I absolutely believe there should be severe and serious consequence for violent crime, which is why I've prosecuted those cases, and will always seek the highest sentence.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
Before her recent about-face, Harris chose not to endorse proposed sentencing reforms on the California ballot in 2012 and 2014, and she defended the constitutionality of cash bail until 2016. Harris's office also fought an order to reduce California's prison population after the Supreme Court determined the conditions amounted to cruel and unusual punishment. Although she later claimed to be shocked by what they had done, Harris's attorneys argued that nonviolent offenders should stay behind bars because the state needed the cheap labor they provide.
I'll tell you this much though, that $13 million gonna come in handy, but like he said, there's no amount of money that can match up the time that you lose. Because the time that you lose out in life, you could possibly make even more than what they gave you. It is possible. Trust me, it is. He could have got big acting. Pause. He could have made it as a musician and made way more than that. You understand? In 7 years, that could happen, all right? So with that being said, let me know your thoughts. You think Kamala got some dirt under her hands, or do you agree with what she did? Was she power tripping? Huh? Do you feel like she has a sense of accountability, or she really doesn't care? Let me know. Go in the comments, run it up, flood it up. Don't forget, if you like reactions like this, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell. I'll see you in the next one.